You don't always see it, but hard work always pays off. There are few things, in my view, more rewarding than a hard day's work. The accomplishment, the challenge overcome, and if you look around at how few have overcome those same challenges, you feel a great deal better about what you've done. Maybe it's that you looked at something differently, more creatively. You thought of a new idea. Someone hadn't proposed that before, or they had but they didn't think about that one thing. Maybe it's because you survived those grueling nights, long, monotonous hours. Maybe your attention to detail is, or has, allowed you to spot things that others missed. Maybe it's in how you have learned to work as part of a team and how you are now trying to lead. Maybe you're not there yet, maybe you're just starting. A challenge it is nonetheless. Maybe it's in how confident you've become or are becoming, how strongly you communicate your ideas for and on behalf of yourself or others. Those things are hard. I think there is a great privilege that comes from the pressure that is exerted upon you. Maybe you choose it, but it is exerted upon you. I think that pressure makes you stronger. I think the resistance, like training in the gym, allows you to take on the bigger challenges in life. It's like compound interest. Small changes in who you are build to something new, a new image, a new person. Perhaps you become, over time, unrecognizable, even if you can't yet see it yourself. That is a product of hard work. And hard work doesn't necessarily mean pushing heavy weights or doing things that are traditionally seen as hard. You know, beating your competition, getting good grades in your exams. Things that are hard to you. They are relative to you. Some people have strengths. Some people are extremely social. Some people are very technically gifted. Perhaps they think quantitatively. Perhaps the way that they are creative in a commercial environment or a artistic environment is so unique that you're not able to compete with them in their chosen field. Those things are products of a battle within yourself, because hard's not about what society deems as hard, it's about what's hard for you. So when you look at those people that have those strengths in those things, maybe you don't have all of them, or maybe you have none of them. And so the upwards climb for each of those skills that you may be trying to develop or want to develop, maybe unintentionally are developing, that upwards climb is relative. The gradient of it, how steep it is relative to who you are. So what is hard might not be hard for the person next to you. I know I've struggled, and I've talked about some of my struggles in these videos. I've struggled with my own mind. I've not always been the most present. I've not always been the most confident in the room, but through hard work, and not through, as I said, doing the traditionally hard things, through hard work in my own mind, by identifying what I was anxious to do, what I was apprehensive to do, what I was procrastinating from doing, identifying those things and running towards them. I mean, running towards the chance of failure, and perhaps even running towards the failures themselves. I mean, not in a catastrophic, life-ending sense, I wouldn't do that, but the smaller challenges that you might not get the first time, those things and that mind are what set you apart from everyone else, and most importantly, the version of you you will leave behind. It's like a metamorphosis. And you see this so often in so many books, in so much conventional wisdom about doing hard things, about building small wins before you take on the big challenges, about small habits that build to something greater, about not being as fragile, about putting down the phone, taking away the easy things, and focusing on something that is a challenge to you. And there's no right place to start. As I said, it's all relative. So maybe the challenge for you might be simply to try, speak to someone new, make a new friend. It might be to get in the gym and push yourself that little bit further out of your comfort zone. It might be to pick up a pen and write down how you feel. It might be to create art with whatever is going on in your head. The challenges don't look the same, but the overall conventional wisdom that everyone speaks about is nonetheless true. So don't think about it in the sense that you need to prescribe what the challenges are. You don't need to run a marathon to overcome a challenge. It can be whatever it is to you. You just need to identify what it is within you. And in order to do that, as I said before, you need to look at what makes you feel challenged. Not only in the pleasant way. I mean, not only in, a challenging run that subsequently makes you feel good owing to the endorphins that are released. No. I mean the challenge that makes you feel awkward, that makes you feel a bit anxious, nervous, scared. Perhaps there's something you want to say but you won't say it. I know I've been there so many times. And that feeling, it's so uncomfortable and it took me so long. But now I've started to run towards those feelings. And there's the hard work. It's not necessarily in working 20 hours a day. Sometimes it does come down to a split decision that builds to another, that builds to another. And maybe it builds to nothing. But sometimes it does. And then you find that you change. In the context of our increasingly digitized world, finding things that are hard is incredibly difficult. You spend a lot of your time online, consuming content and media at a rate that your brain isn't really, if we're honest, wired to consume, or balance, or control, or instill discipline over. I've spoken about that before as well. So where's the challenge there? Well, it's clear, if it's so difficult to be present, to put down the phone, then perhaps you just need to do that. And that's one example. If you can't focus on the page of a book, maybe it's a bad book, but maybe you also need to just sit in that and work through it and get through it. And it might be grueling, The book might be boring and uninteresting and you might find it difficult to concentrate on it. And I'm privileged to say this because, I don't have ADHD or anything like that. So I don't understand how people with those minds operate in that environment. But I know for me that when I picked up my first books, I hated reading them. I just pretended like I enjoyed reading them. It was kind of a fake it till you make it situation until you started to enjoy them and you started to be able to read 30 pages in one sitting. It all seems so elementary. But because of that, you could read a book and then you could learn more and then you could speak to someone about it and that might get you in the room. So through something small, it was hard for me. I found growth from it. So run towards those feelings. There's another conversation as well around the privilege that is a consistent job, a 9 to 5, as they call it. And I agree with that. I think the value in what you get out of a challenging job, challenging employment, is the challenge itself. It's the rigor that you have to go through in order to overcome those hurdles. So maybe the job is difficult, maybe it's long hours, maybe it's intellectually challenging, maybe it's extremely technical, maybe it requires a great deal of knowledge and expertise, of information that you might not have to your head, to the front of your mind immediately. Maybe it's that sort of challenging, and that's what you would imagine the traditionally challenging job to look like. But we know that's not only the case. Perhaps a job is challenging to you specifically because of something within you. Perhaps because of something that's happened to you or some reason that your mind thinks in some way you're not able to carry yourself in the way that others seem to do so effortlessly. I've been there. Run towards that feeling. Put yourself in the zone. Stick your hand up. Ask the question. The value in that scenario comes not from sticking around and being seen to do the grueling hours. It comes from the impetus to run towards the things that you're maybe not so confident in. Maybe your job is challenging for other circumstances. Maybe the environment, the culture isn't one that you're used to, or is something in a more extreme sense that is at odds with who you are. So there's a friction there. And the challenge is in overcoming that friction, in finding a way, a path to succeed through it. People talk about, I work with so-and-so, my boss is like so-and-so, they act like this, I'm like this. It's you and them. And that friction is where the value is. That challenge is where the value is, because over time, you learn to deal with it. You learn to manage it, not just professionally, but personally. Because what you do there impacts how you are at home, how you are with your friends. Like it or not, you can't really separate it all. At the end of the day, you're a product of your environments, plural, not just one, not just who you associate around outside of that 9 to 5. So yes, there is a great privilege in the pressure that is exerted upon you through your choice to put yourself in that position. And the greater privilege, the greater reward, the greater value is in the challenges that you find therein. Because most people don't have access to those challenges. We are genuinely in a youth employment crisis. So if you're in the position of employment, your skills, the things you have developed through the rigor of facing challenges over the long term in the context of your own economy, some large organization, or maybe something small, something personal, that challenge, that rigor is the value. So if you want to be shrewd about it, if you want to be prudent about it, if you want to think of yourself as an investment, then on that metric, those values, owing to how scarce they are, how difficult They are to get to and then to achieve. It is those things that make you valuable. You become an asset. No, existentially, I want to be more than an asset, but at the end of the day, you need to pay the bills. And in order to do so, via traditional route of employment, you need to create a character, a professional, a set of skills, experience, knowledge, a product of challenges overcome that is simply better than your competition. It's not always tooth and nail. I mean, you're not clawing to get over your competition, not really in that sense, but if you are to try and succeed relative to the larger market, going through those challenges places you in the right place because it is so rare to have had them. Those things are at a premium if you look at them in a financial sense. But maybe you don't. I've just been thinking like that recently. Not sure why. In order to be less fragile, as I've seen myself and people around me slip into at times, in order to be less like that, more robust, more anti-fragile, shout out Nassim Taleb for this, run towards the things that you can fail at, the things that challenge you, that make you feel uncomfortable. And obviously, don't take that as an absolute rule because some things make you feel uncomfortable for legitimate reasons. But make a judgment, if that opportunity comes up and it feels like it would place you under perhaps a greater deal of stress, it might call on you to stand up in front of a crowd and speak. Perhaps that makes you feel anxious. Those opportunities are the ones you need to run towards. Those are just a few. That pressure is not just a privilege. At the end of the day, it's essential, but also it is the pleasure of it.